What's up, everybody? Welcome to Move the Six, presented by Grifols Plasma Donation Centers. DJ Bucky back with you, and Buck, we're going to hit on this Monday night game, which was pretty wild. We got a lot to talk about in that one, a lot of different areas we can explore. We're going to also today have some fun and hit on Geno Smith and how that's worked out extremely well for the Seattle Seahawks. Going to talk about the Jets and their rookies and this kind of direction that organization is headed. And look ahead to the Thursday night game, which is Commanders and Bears. So a lot of ground to cover, Buck. But first of all, did you get a chance to see that thing last night?
I did, man. Great game. Great game in terms of the Las Vegas Raiders played the game the way they wanted to play it. Jumped out on the Kansas City Chiefs early, had control of the game, seemingly the first half, and then let it unravel in the second half. Some of that was their own undoing, but a lot of it was Kansas City and Patrick Mahomes kind of finding the rhythm, them getting to the bag, making some plays. And then Travis Kelce having a huge game. 4 touchdowns on 7 catches, only had 25 yards. But look, I'm always going to trade the Tubbs for the yardage. 4 touchdowns, that's a great game for me, even though the Raiders did a great job of bottling him up for most of the night.
Yeah, it was interesting. I went back and kind of looked at the rules that I had jotted down when you're playing the Kansas City Chiefs of what you need to do, what you need to accomplish to have a chance. And here are the rules. You've got rush 4 if you can, get home with 4. I thought the Raiders did a good job of that in the first half. Outstanding. Then don't get caught upfield. There was a couple times where that did happen. So you got to be careful of that. And then you also look at reroute wide receivers and tight ends. I thought that to me was their cardinal sin, Buck. You had those Kelce touchdowns where they didn't get their hands on him at the line, and you give him free access, you almost get what you deserve from that standpoint.
Yeah, free access is the killer. It's the killer in the National Football League. The quarterbacks are too good. The receivers are too good. If you don't challenge them at the line of scrimmage, it really becomes a game of 7-on-7 football, and they're going to complete passes all over the yard. And so for the Raiders, taking lessons from this, you got to make sure that you find a way to beat number 87 up each and every down. You have to make him earn his receptions by dealing with the physicality and the toughness. By not doing that, you contained him, but you didn't necessarily limit his impact because he was able to get open in the end zone over and over and over again.
Yeah, the fourth thing is you got to catch your layups and your opportunities that Mahomes is going to give you 1 or 2 a game. I don't know that he necessarily did that. He played pretty clean, so he didn't really have the options to take the football away from that standpoint. But overall, I thought, they were on pace. We talk about the goal when you're playing the Chiefs is a touchdown a quarter. If you can hold them to 28 points, it's on your offense to be able to get one more than that. The offense got them to 29. The defense just couldn't hold them to the 28. And the penalty, man, on the extra or the field goal attempt, that was a killer, man. That was the game.
Yeah, that was a killer. And it's the little things that eventually add up, right? And so you think about the Las Vegas Raiders and why they're sitting at 1-4. And normally it's turnovers and failing in the DBOs. Well, didn't really turn the ball over, but it's the penalties, and then some of the big plays allowed. You cannot gift great teams extra possessions and additional yards. And you cannot allow an explosive team like the Kansas City Chiefs to generate big plays in some way, shape, or form. For the Raiders, they got to tighten up the penalties first and make sure they keep the ball in front of the defense.
Yeah, I don't think this Chiefs team is as good offensively as they've been in the past. But, it's one of those cliches. We use it in sports, and I think people are anti-cliche, and they think it's cheesy and silly, but sometimes they're true. And winners win. These guys have won so much. They know how to win. They know how to make that 1 or 2 plays on either side of the ball to be able to finish games, and they absolutely did it in this game. That was not the Chiefs' best, but it was good enough. And that's a hat tip to Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes, their ability to find a way to win when maybe they didn't have the best plan that they've had. They weren't quite as smooth. They weren't as explosive. But they found a way to get it done. That's why they have that cliche, winners win, losers lose. That was a winners win game last night.
Yeah, it's so funny that you bring that up, like winners win. DJ, we've talked about it and talked about, namely with quarterbacks. With experience comes expertise, but it goes beyond just playing the quarterback position. Andy Reid, because he's so experienced at winning, he's become an expert at it. So he understands how to win games. He understands how to make in-game adjustments to put his team in the best position to win. Because this team has won 6 straight division titles. There's a feeling in the organization that they know how to win. And that confidence, man, is unbreakable, it's unshakable, it's undeniable when you're facing a team that has those things. And so their opponents in the postseason have to be able to play above the standard while also having a belief that might not be realized at that point because they're playing a team that knows how to get to the winner's circle.
Yeah, I know 1-4 is not where the Raiders want to be. They've been in every game. They've got a chance to reel some off here and climb back into this thing. But, yeah, you want to say the division's away from them, but it's away from them. They're not winning this division this year. They got to try and find their way to fight and get it into a wild card situation. But there's still plenty of talent there. I think you're seeing the offense find themselves a little bit more, and you get the quarterback and the play caller getting a little more experience together. It looks better, so that's encouraging from that standpoint. All right, let's take a quick break here, Buck. We're going to come back. We're going to talk about Geno Smith and this Seattle Seahawks offense, maybe one of the bigger surprises in the league this year. All right, Buck, let's do a little Scouts take here on Geno Smith. This is a situation where the Seattle Seahawks make the trade. They get a huge haul for Russell Wilson. We've talked a lot about Russell Wilson and why it hasn't worked out so far with the Denver Broncos. But, man, Geno Smith has played great ball for the Seahawks. They've been explosive. You kind of pull up his numbers and look what he's done this year. Over 1,300 passing yards, completing 75% of his passes, 9 touchdowns, 2 picks. To put that in perspective, he's on pace for over 4,400 yards, 31 touchdowns, and 7 picks if he keeps this up going through the season. So, first of all, let's go in the time machine and go back, because I think people forget, because Geno's had these stops along the way, of what we thought of him when he was coming into the draft. I believe we were both on the same page. He was the best quarterback in that draft, that 2013 draft, which was kind of an ugly draft.
It was an ugly draft because E.J. Manuel, I want to say, was the first quarterback that was eventually taken. Geno Smith was really up and down just because people didn't know whether to attribute his success to Dana Holgerson's system at West Virginia, where he had Tavon Austin, Stephen Bailey. Those guys were out there making a ton of plays. But when you look at his career in New York, I don't know if he necessarily got a fair shake. You remember he got punched, and so that impacted his last season with the Jets. And then he's been on a mission as a journeyman from that point on. But now in Seattle, he's finally getting the opportunity to really start. And he's starting in a system that we've talked about, DJ. This system is the best system for quarterbacks because it's really user-friendly. Geno stepped in. He's commanded the offense. He's shown the restraint to make sure that he's always taking care of the ball. And when you take care of the ball with the weapons that the Seattle Seahawks have on the outside, Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf are absolute studs. And so when you're able to run the ball a little bit like the Seahawks have been able to do, they've been able to make big plays. So yeah, Geno Smith's playing great. He has a nice supporting cast, and we're seeing him realize maybe some of the potential that he displayed when he was at West Virginia.
Yeah, I went back and looked at my notes. You know, my comp for him at the time, Buck, was Alex Smith. And you think about their careers, there are some similarities there. Alex Smith, obviously the first overall pick. They both were the first quarterback in their draft class. Alex Smith, he got out of San Francisco. He got to Kansas City at age 29. So at age 29, he goes with the Chiefs, and that's when he puts up, 5 really good years. He gave the Chiefs 5 good years before handing the baton to Patrick Mahomes. So this is a situation. Geno's a little bit older. He's 32 years old. But Alex Smith, and you remember we both were in scouting at that time, was really young coming into the league. So a similar situation at this point in time, landing in the right spot, getting the right opportunity. There's never been a doubt about his ability to throw the football. I mean, he can make every type of throw. And when you go back and watch all their, I went back and watched all their explosives and big plays. I mean, he's ripping seam balls. He's extending plays, keeping his eyes up. He looks very comfortable in this system, very poised. One of the things you notice with him is he does a great job of getting his cleats in the ground. He settles, and he's able to drive the ball from his lower half. And when you got somebody like DK Metcalf that you trust, you feel good about fitting balls in tight windows.
Yeah, fitting balls in tight windows. He does have a nice supporting cast around him. You saw the passer rating at 113.2. That's incredible efficiency for a quarterback. But he's also, this dude is completing like well over 75% of his passes, doing a great job getting the ball to the playmakers. And what I love about it in this offense, he knows when to push the envelope. He also knows when to scale it back. He is playing what Pete Carroll will call winning football, where it's not necessarily about your own individual accolades and statistics. It's about managing the game, making sure you avoid the turnover, getting your offense in the right play, and then when the plays are there to be made, you cash in on those lottery tickets. Geno Smith has been doing it. So far, so good for the Seahawks.
Yeah, we'll see if he can keep this up. But they have a nice collection of weapons. I think they've done a good job of adding some pieces to that offensive line. The defense is nowhere near what the defense used to be in Seattle, but now they're going to have all these extra resources. You look at next year, they can get that defense flipped quick. They can get some big-time impact players. And Tariq Woolen's done a nice job for them, the rookie. They have a couple nice pieces there. But, man, they could really, really put some juice in that front seven with all these extra picks they got courtesy of Russell Wilson, who has to make them feel good, has not played well. So they're looking like the big winners in that trade so far. All right, we're going to come back. We take a little break. We're going to come back and talk about the New York Jets. We've talked a little bit about them in previous episodes. We're going to really do a deep dive on where this organization is and where they're headed right after this. All right, it's time for Battles 1, presented by the United States Marine Corps, and there is definitely some reason for optimism here with the New York Jets and where they are right now, Buck. 3-2, I don't know many people that saw that coming with a team that was desperate to kind of get things rolling here. They've had a lot of draft capital, courtesy of a couple huge trades that Joe Douglas made. When you look at the Sam Darnold trade, what he was able to recoup for that, and before that, you go to the big Jamal Adams trade. Two trades we broke down here on the pod several times over the last couple years. But the impact now that we see, instead of numbers and draft picks, as you always talk about, now we have names and we have performers, and you're seeing the fruits of those trades really start to pay off.
Yeah, absolutely. DJ, we talk about it. It's hard to turn picks into players. But the New York Jets appear to have turned some of those picks into players. Namely, let's talk about Breece Hall coming off a huge game. We think about this offense and the way that you want to jumpstart your young quarterback. Get him a playmaker that he can lean on. But then you get Breece Hall, who's able to really kind of play the role of running back 1, wide receiver 2, make things happen like he did at Iowa State as a runner and receiver out the backfield. And so when you get that going with the offensive line that they put together in front of him, when they take some of the pressure off Zach Wilson, even though I believe, and I think you believe, that Zach Wilson is a stud, we're seeing the offense come together because the pieces around Zach Wilson are growing up right in front of our eyes, and they are beginning to put points on the board, significant points on the board too.
Yeah, and you look at the selection of Elijah Vera Tucker. I think some of the analytics crowd was critical of that pick when they made it. Oh, you don't move up, you trade to go up and get a guard. Why would you do that? Well, you trade up because he was one of the best players in the draft, regardless of position. And now you've seen so far this year, Buck, he's played left guard in this league in 2 years. He played right guard this year, started the season there. Then you have your left tackle go down. Yeah, they lose 3 tackles. So he kicks over to left tackle, plays well. Then all of a sudden now Dwayne Brown comes off IR, so now he's going to go over and play right tackle. He's played all over the line, and he's an above-board player. He's a winning player at every position. So that was a heck of a pick, and what he's been able to provide for this offensive line to help Zach Wilson. But we always talk with young quarterbacks, can you bake in easy completions within the system? I think Mike LaFleur's done a good job of that. Now, Zach Wilson didn't hit those as much last year. So what do? They go out in the offseason and say, okay, we're going to find a way to get you even easier completions. So now you had Elijah Moore last year. Now we're going to get Garrett Wilson, who can uncover and give you some easy completions. Breece Hall can catch the ball out of the backfield and give you easy completions. You go out and get 3 new tight ends and completely upgrade that position. When you look at Conklin and Uzama and even Ruckert from Ohio State, I think will get a role as the season goes along. But they've built in so many things for their quarterback to give him a chance. Now, we both think Zach Wilson's going to be good. Look, still to be determined. I like what I've seen the last couple weeks. But, man, they're going to be able to make an evaluation now because they've got options for him to win. In the past, I think you look at some of these other quarterbacks around the league, they haven't had the infrastructure to have a chance. They've given him a chance. Now we'll see what he can do.
Yeah, no, he absolutely has a chance to win. But I think part of that is not only due to what they've done on offense, but let's talk about defensively. This league is about pass rushers and cover corners. And in the cover corners, Sauce Gardner, we're already seeing him make contributions. But he's not alone in that secondary. They got other young guys that are also balling and balling well. And Robert Saleh's defense, one that is really pretty simple, which allows young guys to play and play on their instincts and athleticism. They are stepping up and making plays. Sauce Gardner couldn't be more impressive. Guy comes in, was expected to be a lockdown corner. Man, he's holding his own on the perimeter. And so if I'm the Jets, I feel really excited because they haven't had a corner like that since Darrelle Revis created Revis Island for this team in the late 2000s.
Yeah, and DJ Reed coming over in free agency, somebody who Saleh was familiar with, has played at a really, really high level on that opposite side. You look at the veteran safeties, LaMarcus Joyner, who's undersized, but I think he's got a couple picks this year. He's been making plays and doing some good things. But overall, when you look at the roster, they have so many good young players. And really, those draft classes of the last 2 years have set the foundation for this team going forward. When you look at Mekhi Becton in that first year's draft class, man, you wish you could stay healthy. Hasn't been able to over the last couple years. But they've been able to overcome that, a first-round pick who you haven't really been able to get much out of because of all the extra picks they collected. They got more, chances at, more bites at the apple here. And now they've nailed it 2 years in a row. And you look at the defense in their front. I mean, John Franklin Myers has been a really good player. They were able to get him kind of off the scrap heap. They've extended him. You've seen some good things from Jermaine Johnson, the rookie. Quinnen Williams is going to get paid in a big way. He's coming close to a contract time, and he's playing as well as any defensive tackle in the league right now. So they've got waves of defensive linemen they can throw at you. If you're going to look into the future, like what do they still need? I still think, C.J. Mosley's a good player. He's a little bit older. I think you look at this next offseason, now you can go out and get big-time impact linebackers. Maybe you go get a bigger-bodied safety to go along with what they have there in Whitehead and Jordan. And Joyner, I should say. So there's still things they can do to upgrade this roster. But when you have the defensive linemen, you've got some tackles, you've got the quarter, like all the expensive things that cost you money in free agency and high picks in the draft, I think they're in pretty good shape in those spots right now.
Yeah, they are in good shape in those spots, DJ. We talk about the second level. That is a big area. Linebacker core, being able to have someone dynamic that can come down and maybe offer you a little bit of that cover skills to be able to take the tight end down the seam while also enhancing the pass rush as a blitzer. The Jets get that accomplished, it certainly helps them. I think on offense, they still can continue to build this thing out, continue to figure out if they can put a fortress in front of the quarterback, see if they can find maybe another playmaking tight end that can take some attention away by being able to get down the seam. It's a young and talented receiver core, but the word is young. So you don't get the day-to-day consistency. Can this team grow up together and win a ton of games? That remains to be seen. But I think you should be optimistic based on how they jumped out to a 3-2 start.
Yeah, and the playmakers they have, they're going to let those guys all grow together. And I think if you look at Joe's past and you look at where he came from in Baltimore and in Philadelphia, all the time he spent in those organizations where they won Super Bowls, the depth up front is something that he believes in. I mean, he had to start from scratch to kind of get this thing built, to try and build that up. I think you'll see that. You're going to see big bodies continue to be drafted early, and now you can use some of those second, third round picks. Now you go get a linebacker. You can go, address some of those other needs that you might have, a safety, so to speak. But I still think early in the draft, he's going to follow that Eagles, formula, and as well as something the Ravens have done a lot of, which is go big early. And you look at the Eagles team, and we've talked about Cam Jurgens, who didn't start for them, could probably start for half the league. They've always got quality, 6, 7, 8 offensive linemen, and they always have a rotation on defense. Man, the hard work, if you're a Jets fan, the hard work has been done. Let's see how many games they win this year. Anything, around 500 is a huge positive step forward. And then now you can start to see this thing really start to roll. The challenge for them, really the biggest challenge for them is the division. With Buffalo and Josh Allen where they are, I know that was a big win over Miami, but they were missing key pieces. You had their third quarterback out there. They're not going to go anywhere for the next few years as well. And the Patriots are always going to be competitive. So it's going to be a challenge for them. But, man, I think we kind of want to get this out there. The hope is there. There's definitely hope in this organization for the first time in a very, very long time. All right, Buck, let's get into this Thursday night game here. We've got the Bears and the Commanders, which should be an interesting one here. This is not the sexiest matchup, but you look at, first of all, Carson Wentz, who's been called out by his coach, I guess apparently apologized to by his coach this morning as we're recording this. And then you've got Justin Fields, who we broke down extensively on the pod here, which not a lot to work with there in Chicago. What's your expectation for this game?
Okay, so the expectation for the game, it could be a bit of a slog. It could be a little icky in terms of like which offense shows up. But here's what I'm going to say, because I'm going to take the Chicago Bears angle. Matt Eberflus has done a great job of already changing the culture of the Bears. The Bears run hard. They play hard. They play physical. Defensively, man, you can see what he did in Indy. You can see that put in practice in Chicago. This is a team that is really trying to wear you down with their physicality, toughness, and their hustle. And they've done that, and because of that, they've been able to generate some turnovers. The big question mark for the Bears is the quarterback, Justin Fields. There are some that believe he has an opportunity to be a franchise quarterback for a long time. There are others that are cool on him, suggesting that he doesn't read defenses, that he's leaning on his athleticism and playmaking ability. Well, now that you've drafted him and you're the Bears, you got to figure out the way to best deploy him. And if that means using him as a runner more, still mixing in some throws, then do that. If that means he has to throw it 40 times and run it on occasion, then you have to do that. The thing that we know, he's extreme talent. Now it's on the coaches to figure out how to cultivate that talent and fit it within a system that will play to his strengths and minimize some of his weaknesses as a player.
Yeah, and I'll flip it over here to Washington, and a lot's been made. The big storyline has been, Ron Rivera asked about what the difference between where they are in this division and everybody else, and he offered the one-word explanation, which was quarterback, which completely threw Carson Wentz under the bus. So there's a lot of issues with this team outside of the quarterback. Carson's a little bit of a roller coaster player. We knew that. You got to ride the wave with him. But when I look at the defensive side of the ball, and I look at a team that has one interception, a team that has one forced fumble, which forced fumbles to me are kind of a hustle stat, and it's an effort thing. It's always being conscious of where the ball is and an effort trying to get the ball out. It's to me, it's a sign of a defense that's playing really, really hard. When you're not getting in position to make interceptions, you've got one forced fumble. Like, this is supposed to be Ron Rivera's baby on that side of the ball. That to me is probably the most disappointing thing. A heck of a lot more disappointing than anything Carson Wentz has or hasn't done.
Yeah, it's unfortunate to hear him throw the quarterback under the bus, because when you're a defensive head coach, the number one thing that has to be right, the defense, because that's your baby, that's your level of expertise. This defense does not dominate the way that the defense needs to dominate for this team to be a viable contender in the NFC East. They have to get after the quarterback, they have to knock him around, they have to force fumbles. The only way that you typically can do that, you got to win on early downs. That requires the run game, the run defense to be on point. So you win on early downs, you force them to throw in long yardage situations on second and third down, you have a chance to control and really suffocate the opposing offense. But they don't do that, and they're frustrated because they don't play hard while you're seeing them do that. And look, man, the offense has its own set of issues with Carson trying to figure out who he's throwing to, the rhythm, how to work with the play caller, Scott Turner, all those things. They are expected to be a work in progress. But right now, Ron Rivera has to be all on this defense, because this defense is the most underachieving unit on this squad right now.
No doubt. A reminder, you can watch the Commanders versus the Bears on Thursday Night Football, 8:15 Eastern Time on Prime Video, also available on NFL Plus. All right, coming up next, we're going to look at the last place teams in each division and whether or not we should be hopeful or whether or not this season is cooked. We'll be back right after this. Buck, I want to get to, before we wrap this thing up, I want to just go quickly here and go through the last place teams in every division, and you just give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Like, are they alive or is this over for them? Let's roll through these. Let's start in the AFC. AFC East, the New England Patriots are 2-3. What's your take on them?
No, it's not over for them, just because I'm willing to bet on Bill Belichick trying to find a way to mess up games that gives his team a chance to win. I don't think they're a high-end playoff team, but I do believe with some scheming, he's able to kind of keep this team on the verge of postseason contention.
Yeah, I think they're a 500 or a little above. 2-3 right now. I think they're alive. I don't think they have a chance of winning this division, but I do think they are alive as the season goes along. We'll follow them as we go here. The Pittsburgh Steelers, I can answer that one first. I think they're dead. They're 1-4. I don't doubt the kind of championship mettle of this organization, but you're playing with a rookie quarterback. You're missing T.J. Watt. It's a terrible offensive line. They're in a division with 3 good football teams. I would say the Pittsburgh Steelers are cooked. You?
Yeah, no, I think it's done deal. I think once they went to Kenny Pickett, I think that was Mike Tomlin kind of waving the white flag on this season, trying to get the young guys some reps, get them reps with the ones, see what he can do. Then year 2, build an offense around the talents that he displays. But right now, the Steelers just are in the middle of an identity crisis. They don't really know who they are because they don't have the personnel to be who they've always been.
You explain this one to me. I would say that the Houston Texans are cooked after seeing them the week before you saw them. But you saw them last week, and, look, Dameon Pierce is a good player. I saw that in the Charger game. You saw that in the Jags game. But I would have said they're cooked. But they beat the Jags, who I saw in person with you there, and the Jags were playing good football at that point in time. I don't know what to make of the Houston Texans.
Yeah, I don't know what to make of it, but I do. Here's what I would make of it. They are the equivalent of playing Wisconsin in the NCAA tournament. If you're not ready for the slowdown style that they can employ, if you allow them, where they're just running the ball, squatting on the ball, playing Tampa 2, not allowing you to throw the ball over their head, it can be a long, frustrating game. Now, every game they've been in has been a one-score game. They hadn't won one until they knocked off the Jaguars. So I don't see this team as a playoff team. I just see this team as the team. You look down on the schedule, you're like, oh, man. God, we got to play these guys this week.
Yeah,
it's just because the game is so muddy, it makes it hard to get a rhythm. But I don't think they're a playoff team.
No, I'm with you. Raiders, we talked a little bit about earlier in the show, 1-4. We're on the same page. They're not dead yet, right, in terms of the postseason. They've been in every game. I think they've lost 4 games by 14 points or something like that. So they've been there. I think we're in agreement, aren't we? They're still alive.
Yeah, we're good. We're good on that one.
All right, let's flip over to the NFC. NFC East, the Commanders. That goose is cooked for me. You?
Oh, yeah, no, that's a done deal. That's a done deal. Before, I didn't like the way they played. Now I don't like the interaction between the coach and the players, particularly as it goes through the media. Yeah, I don't think there's any way this team gets off the mat. Yeah, they may win a few games, but they will not claw their way back into playoff contention.
Yeah, I've heard people talk about before, like if you have chaos in your personal life, then chaos can carry over into your professional life. And this organization has just had so much chaos. I think you've seen some of that chaos kind of carry over into the field, and that's where you have yourself with a 1-4 record there. I don't see them going anywhere. The Detroit Lions, maybe the most entertaining 1-4 team. I feel weird saying this. I don't think they're going anywhere. They're not winning anything this year, but golly, the Detroit Lions have been watchable outside of the egg they laid last week against the Patriots.
Yeah, outside of the Patriots game, this is a team that has been playing really well, particularly on offense. Offensively, they were leading the league in a handful of categories, or right near the top of the league, and then they go and play the Patriots, and everything comes to a screeching halt. So now this is where I'm looking at Dan Campbell to see if he can do a great job getting this team back on track. Yeah, the offense bounce back because they're talented. I'm looking at the defense. Can Patrick Graham, can they get this defense to play right? That's the big question for me.
43 more points than the Green Bay Packers this year. That's how the Detroit Lions offense has performed. They put up 140 points. The Packers have only put up 97. Unfortunately, the Lions defense has let them down throughout this young season. All right, Carolina Panthers 1-4.
And I meant to say
head coach. You've got Sam.
I meant to say Aaron Glenn. Aaron Glenn on defense, not Patrick. I don't know why I say Patrick. Aaron Glenn.
Yeah, that's okay. We'll give you a pass on that one. Let's go. Carolina Panthers 1-4. Coach is gone. You've got 2 quarterbacks that have been hurt. I mean, oh, you will hear about it in the comments. You're out on the Panthers, aren't you, Buck? They're not going anywhere.
Yeah, I'm out on the Panthers because I don't know where they go from here. I don't know what they do. They were playing decent defense. Offensively, you don't have a quarterback. You have a lot of frustrated skill players. How are they going to get the ball? You got P.J. Tucker who has to start the next maybe 2 to 3 games. I don't know where they go. And so it's unfortunate. This is a team that we thought would have a chance to compete for a playoff berth, but yeah, that's all done.
No, that's done. Seattle Seahawks 2-3. We talked about Geno a little bit earlier. This is the division. It's all bunched up together. You've got the 3-2 Niners, and then the Rams, Cardinals, and Seahawks all at 2-3. So I guess I should say Seattle, Arizona, the Rams, all 3 of those teams. I mean, look, to me, the 49ers are playing playing great defense, but I don't think they're going to run away with this division. Are the Rams, Cardinals, and Seahawks all still alive, Buck? What do you think?
Yeah, they all are still alive because I don't know if anyone's going to be able to run away. As much as I love what the 49ers are doing, I worry about injuries catching up with them. We saw a handful of guys go off the field in the last game. You don't know how long those guys are going to be out. And so the division is still kind of wide open. When I look at the Seattle Seahawks, the thing that prevents me from really getting on board with them is their defense has been bad, man. Just bad defense. So Geno Smith can throw it all over the yard, but if they can't stop anybody, you're not going to win a bunch of games in this league, 45, 42, 40 to 37. It's about getting stops until Pete Carroll is able to put his magic touch, his Midas touch on the defense. I think it's going to be hard for them to compete.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting division as we come down as we get towards the middle part of the year. I think you'll see some separation here, and some of these teams will drop off. All right, Buck, let's get from you the greatest NFL Plus read of all time. Let it rip.
Man, look, I'm so excited to have to read the NFL Plus thing because it's one of the best things. NFL Plus is the league's new exclusive video streaming subscription service. NFL Plus has your game day covered with live, local, and primetime regular season and postseason games right on your phone or tablet. NFL Plus is available in the NFL app and at NFL.com. Subscription plans start at just $4.99 a month. Fans visit plus.nfl.com and sign up for a free trial of NFL Plus today. Best read that you've ever heard right there.
Yep, that's strong. That's strong. That's some of the best reading work right there.
It's not to read, just to finish.
No. Yeah, no, it was impressive. You can find more Move the Sticks content on NFL's YouTube page. Go to NFL.com, the NFL channel, or the NFL app. We appreciate you guys hanging with us today. We got one more pod, one more show coming your way this week, so be on the lookout for that. We appreciate you. Thanks for listening to Move the Sticks, presented by Griffel's Plasma Donation Centers.